Deqa Haji waa hooyo Soomaaliyeed oo ku nool Ohio waa hooyo dhalinyaro isla markaana wax baratay waxay la kulantay dhacdo xanuun badan oo hooyo walba iyo qof walba oo dareen waalidnimo la taabanaysa waxa Deqa laga qaatay dhowr bilood ka hor wiilkeeda yarka kaas oo xilligii dhalashadiisa dhaawac u soo gaaray waxay Deqa ku sheegtay in dhaawaca uu ka soo gaaray isbitaalka xilligii dhalashadiisa laakiin isbitaalka ayaa arintaasi dhanka Deqa u riixay oo ku dooday in Deqo dhibka uu ka gaaray ayada wiilkeeda waxaana bilowday baaritaano aan xisaab lahayn kuwaas oo ugu dambeyn sababay in Deqo ilmihii yaraa lagala wareego oo hay'adda qaabilsan caruurtu ay ka haysato Deqo waxay dhexda u xiratay inay difaacdo nafteeda isla markaana cunugeeda soo ceshato waxay qabsatay qareeno waxayna qayladaan u dirsatay Soomaalida gobolka Ohio waxa hore loo qabtay dhowr kulan oo Soomaalida dhexdeeda taas oo lagu lafaguraya sidii Deqo loo caawin lahaa inkasta oo dadaaladu socdeen ma jirin guulo la gaaray waxaase markii dambe loo gudbiyay in hay'adda muslimiinta Mareykanka ee keera qayb ka noqoto barnaamijka taas oo kulan ay isugu yimaadeen dadyo kala duwan ku qabatay xarintooda keera ee magaalada Columbus waxa ka soo qayb galay madaxda keer علماء مسؤولين Soomaalida ka socday iyo qaybaha bulshada kuwaas oo dhamaantood tilmaamay halka xaaladdu ka qalloocsan tahay waxay fariin adag u direen isbitaalo arintani ku dhagan oo ayagu ay ka socon laadahay dhankooda kuna doodaya in ayaga wax dambiya aan loo qabsanin arintana ku wareejiyay dhinaca Deqa taas oo keentay in looyaro maskaxdaadu aysan gali karin ay labada dhinac u kala doodaan mas'uuliyiin ku lug leh kiisaskan ay sidoo kale tan fariimo u direen jaaliyadaha muslimiinta ee magaalada Columbus ayay la hadleen ayaguna si gooniya ayagoo ku tilmaamay in maanta loo baahan yahay in la garab istaaga Deqa dadka hadlayay waxa kamid ahaa Deqa Haji oo ka sheekeynaysa marxaladii ay soo martay kuwaas oo taabtay qalbiyada dadkii ka soo qayb galay waxaana la isku afgartay in Deqa si buuxda loola baadi goobo ilmaheeda lagana difaaco gardarrada lagu hayo barnaamijka Deqa inkasta oo rajo wanaagsan ay jirto haddana xaalad walba waxay ku xiran tahay dadaalka la sameeyo Soomaalida gobolka Ohio waxay u noqon doontaa tijaabo hortaagan barnaamijkan waxa uu ahaa barnaamij aad iyo aad u taabtay qulubta intii ka soo qayb gashay waxa uu u dhacay sida tan
meeshan waxa u jooga inaa support gareeyo walaashay Deqo waa gabar very strong community-ga dadka sida u caawiso sida u garab taaganta waa inaa u garab istaagnaa haddaan ahnay bulshada Soomaaliyeed oo Columbus Ohio degan magaaladan waan ku kornay waan ku dhalanay waan joognaa haddaan ahnay Soomaali kulligiin waxa aadin Children Hospital Mount Carmel waa aadin qofka walaalkiin garab istaaga waxa u baahan tihiin ina isbitaaladaas حتى الليست كجوجسين أو للرادسين وح وعيالذين ملك أو رادسين because this is very important عنق أبايدن هدي ما أنت لقى قاتي إنك support greening ولاشين tomorrow إنك نيجود عيسى عيال دلي عيال دشي قفل بعياله دلي we're all here ماشي ما حكوا Soomaaliya أنا هنا community علينا هاي community أنا قفك ولالك استاجي أو هالله هدانا ما أنت قرب استاجين أديك يا بريكو قرب استاجيو nobody please and please صباحا Soomaaliya afar iyo shan kuma joogtiin intaas oo kuna Soomaaliya magaalada degan isku soo baxa isbitaalada dhaqtaryaasha ha aadina joojiya intaas oo Soomaaliya dhaqtaryaasha ee gabdhan ka complain gareynayso oo aadaan kun anaka ciyalkeeni aada aniga kula hadla ciyalkayga aado balse from now on I have to ina wax raadiyo because of ciyalka walaashay oo maanta dhibtoona oo laga qaadanayo ana idhibaysaa because cunugayga bari ku dhacaya marka walaasheen garab istaagno ayada dadkay garab istaagtaa bulshada Soomaaliyeed way soo dhaxgashaa wayna la hadashaa dhinac walba istaagan tahay
Deqa nida right ma sha Allah tabarakallah ilmo yar oo 2 sano jira ayaa laga haystaa Deqa xaq darana looga haystaa marka please our Somali community stand for Deqa Haji ilmo 2 jira oo bilaa xaq daro laga haysto with no reason marka waxaan ilaahay horta uga baryaynaa ilaahay uga soo qaado Deqa xaq darada laga haysto ilmaheeda marka insha Allah kulligiin waxaan baryaynaa inaad soo wada kacdaan Columbus jooga United States everywhere stand for Deqa please we are mother hooyo kastana way dareemaysaa ilmo ka maqan maanta dhan waan ooynayay ilintaan cishanayay yani waa wax hooyo kasta waa sugayso arinta Deqa haysata marka please stand.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Khadija Ghazali. I am a friend of Deqa's, a sister of Deqa's. I heard about this incident that happened. Very hurt to hear where things are going. We need to stand with each other to help her with this process. Inshallah, she gets justice. This is not fair on her, on the whole family. She has all the right to know what's going on with her kids. Inshallah, let's come together. Hoyoyin, aboyin, kuligana la garab istaago. Waxa oo dhib waay maanta kuligana hadii dareemeno, hadii dareemi karno meeshii ay istaagan tahay. So imaada soo garab istaaga for everything that she's going through, inshallah.
Bismillah. Alhamdulillah. Maanta waxaan joognaa xafiiska Care Ohio. xafiiskan sababtan u nimaanay waxa weeye inaan la lahayn press conference oo xafiiskan aan ku lahayn press conference-gan wuxuu daaran yahay garab istaaga walaashan Deqa Haji sida la socotaanba Deqa waxa laga haystaa ama ay ku dhibaatootay waa hooyo wiil yar oo dhashay labadii sano la soo dhaafay u dambeysay wiilkeeda oo xanuunsanaya waxa kala wareegtay qolooyinkan children services-ka isbitaalada sida nationwide ama Moncormal waxaan ka codsanaynaa inay release gareeyaan medical records wiilka yar oo Deqa dhashay mahada waxaan ka codsanayaa community-ga Soomaaliyeed inay soo baxaan oo garab istaagaan arrinkan maanta ku dhacday Deqa waxay ku dhici karaysaa hooyo waliba oo Soomaaliyeed waxay ku dhacday hooyooyin badan oo Soomaaliyeed haddii marka aynu isgarab istaagin oo aynu muujin waxa aynu geysan karno ama case-ka iyaga meesha aan gaarsiisin karno dan waxaa dhici karta qof waliba hooyo waliba inay geeskeeda u dhibtooto marka maanta Deqaan u joognaa walaashan Deqa inaan caawino inaan garab istaagno to make sure that medical records-kii ilmaha yar in la release gareeyo isbitaalka ku dhigan labadii sano u dambeysay ku dhiganaayeen wiilka waa laga haystaa marka jaaliyada Soomaaliyeed fadlan soo baxa walaashan garab istaaga waa mahadsantiin assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullahi wabarakaatuh
assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullahi wabarakaatuh dhammaan shacabka Soomaaliyeed ee Columbus iyo nawaaxigeeda ku nool aad baan idin salaamayaa waa mar kale anigoo ah Amaal Xuseen marka hore waxaan doonayaa in Ilaahay subxaanahu wa ta'aala u mahad celiyo oo maanta noo suurtageliyay inaan halkan iskugu nimaadno inagoo ku falanqaynayna kagana hadlayna dhibaatadii soo food saartay walaashay Deqa Yuusuf iyo wixii ay kala kulantay healthcare system-ka markii laga soo bilaabo ilaa iyo ilmaheedii markii uu ku dhashay maankamansan aan ilaa iyo markii la geeyay isbitaalka Children's Hospital ilaa iyo maalinka maanta aynu joogno isku soo duub muhiimadu waxay tahay inagoo Soomaaliya midaysan inaynu walaalayaal mowqifkeena meel uga soo wada jeesano isgarab istaagno istaageerno isu hiilino isu soo gurmano maxaa yeelay haddii mid anaga naga mid dhibaateeyo oo aan idhaahdo maanta aniga ima haysato xaqiiqadu waxay tahay mar aan dheereen inay adigana ku soo gaarayso aad iyo aad baa walaalayaal u mahadsantihiin waxaan rajaynayaa Soomaaliya midaysan meel walba dunida dacaladeeda ka joogto guuleysta ha noolaato Soomaaliya
bismillahir rahmaanir rahiim assalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatuh maanta halkan waxaan u nimid gabadha walaashay Deqa Yuusuf Haji dadkuna way ku mahadsan yihiin bulshada community-gu dadku midnimaday ku qiimo leeyihiin ilaahayna waxa uu rajaynaynaa biidnillah inuu case-kan sida ugu dhaqso badan ee ugu qurux badan inuu Allah u dhameeyo iyada kaligeedna maaha wixii islaama wixii Soomaaliya dhiban ilaahay inuu duruufta ka dulqaado.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. We're all here to support Deqa today and we're all advocating for a change. We need a change to happen. She and all of us were all burdened by the news and what's going on. So let us bring the change. Thank you so much.
Alaikum magacaygu waa Anis Liibaan waxaan ka mid ahay Westerville City Schools Board of Education maantay waxaan u imaanay abaya Deqa Haji inaan caawino waxaan rajaynaynaa inay warqadaha caafimaadka ana la u dhiibo for the last 2 years she's been battling she's been demanding to get her proper medical documentations so she can best advocate for her child community-gana waxaan weydiinaynaa inay garab istaagaan abayo so inshallah please a full press conference will be available very soon. We ask that you reach out to Deqa and figure out how you can best support her. We need to stand by each other.
Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Magacaygu waxa Axmed Bashiir waxaan joognaa maanta xarunta ay ku leedahay Care Ohio magaalada Columbus gobolka Ohio anoo ku taageerna walaashan Deqa Haji oo xaggan ku bandhigtay qisadeedii ku saabsaneed dhalankeedii kaasoo wax ku soo gaareen isbitaalka National Children's Hospital iyo St. Anne's oo xaggan waxaan rabnaa inaan ku bixino bandhig lagu qeexayo wixii dhacay sidoo kalena xaggan waxaan rabnaa inaan ku xisaabtano isbitaalladaas aan sheegnay waxaan degannahay waddan hormaray oo runtii shuruuc ka jiro waxyaalaha la dhaho malpractice iyo negligence-ka way dhacaan waana wax muhiim ah in bulshada Soomaalida muwaadiniinta ay hortaagto Deqa Xaajina waxaan runtii ku amaanaya geesinimada ay muujisay inay xaggan timaado ay la sheegto dadka mataqaana bulshada ay la wadaagto stoorigeeda iyo wixii dhacay waxaa muhiim ah haddaan nahay dad ku nool magaalada Columbus inaan taageerno u fidino gacan garab istaag walaashan Deqa Xaaji taasoo waayahan la tacaalaysay sanadii ugu dambeysay kiis ka soo gaaray cunugeeda aan soo sheegnay isbitaalladaas waxay ku dhisan yihiin lacagtanada dhaqaalahanaga we are taxpayers waxaa muhiim in la soo istaagi karo runtii la gaari karo go'aan settlement ama wax la qeexi karo wixii dhacay ayadoon qofna la aflaga deeynin qofna looga dhici sharaftiisa waxaan codsi ku bixinaa afdheer iyo afgaabanba inay imaadaan bulshada hortooda isbitaalladaas ay runtii ay qeexaan say wax u dhaceen ayna caddeeyaan natiijada ay soo bandhigaan records-kii ay keeneen ku saabsanaa cunuga ay dhashay Deqa Xaaji mana ka baryayno hadday bari ma tagayso waa waxaan u leenahay xaq codsigaasna waan gudbinaynaa haddaan nahay bulshada Soomaaliyeed wacalaykum asalaam waraxmatullahi wabarakaatu
asalaamu calaykum waraxmatullaahi wabarakaatu magacayga waxaa la yidhaahdaa Deqa Yuusuf Xaaji waxaan ahay gabar Soomaaliya oo Columbus Ohio ku nool maanta waxaan banaanbax u soo sameynay oo u soo baxnay arrin saameyn leh oo iga soo gaadhay dhakhtarada aanu isticmaalno ee Columbus Ohio labada dhakhtar siiba Mount Carmel St. Anne iyo Nationwide Children's Hospital iyo dhibaatadii iga soo gaadhay wiilkayga yar maalintii aan ilmaha dhaliyay liiqaliyay ayuu nabar ku gaaray ka bacdiina waxay yiraahdeen nabarka iyaga ku dhuftay ilaa ay heerna la gaaraan wiilkii yar inay naga qaataan isku dayaan kuwii kalena inay naga qaataan haddeerto anigu community-gayga waxaan ugu imi oo nagu sheegay laba arrimood mar inay iga caawiyaan aniga tan haysataa oo wiilkayga yarna la ii soo celiyo medical institutionadan iyo dhakhtarradan sida noola dhaqmayana naloola macaamulo talabaadna inaan u noqdo tusaale hooyo iyo gabar walba iyo qof walba oo minority-ga oo Mareykanka ku nool oo maanta xuquuqdiisa laga qaaday ama aan naftiisa u hadli kareynin caruurteena yaryar waa future-keena waxaynu u baahanahay inaynu caruurta ilaalino dhakhtarradana waa dhakhtarradii caruurteena inoo daaweynayay markay inagoon dagaalkooda rabin ayaynu maanta waxaynu weydiinaynaa inay nala soo fadhiistaan oo inala shaqeeyaan si aynu ilaahay baa wax badbaadiye hadda ka bacdi aynu ku taxadarno tan oo kale si aynu ugu dhicin gabar kale oo anigoo kale ah aad iyo aad baad umahadsantihiin
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته My name is Khalid Turani. I am the Executive Director of CARE Ohio and I wanted to welcome the community to our office. We're glad to accommodate and host this press conference. It is an important matter that we're going to be discussing here. This is about the community calls on nationwide Children's Hospital and Mount Carmel St. Anne's to cooperate and release the records. This is an important matter about parental rights, and while we're not glad to be in this occasion that somebody is suffering and somebody's rights are being either withheld or violated, but also we are happy that this community can come together to support one of its own. And with that, I want to turn it over to Sister Anisa to lead us and MC this press conference.
My name is Anisa Liban, and joining me is Ahmed Ibrahim. We are two family advocates who have been supporting Sister Deqa Haji for several months, if not a few years at this point. The purpose of today's gathering is to bring to the community's attention a very unfortunate circumstance that a mother has had to navigate alone. And what we hope to do is today bring that story to light and to hopefully at the end of this press conference be very clear about what our demands and asks are on her behalf. We believe that every parent should have the right to advocate for their child and that every child should have access to quality health care, which we feel that this mother was stripped of.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Our intention is not to undermine or discredit the efforts and outstanding services provided by the institutions in question. Rather, we want to work together and to make it better. Our mission is to ensure the children are treated with decency and respect when they're removed from their families, placed in foster care, and reunited with their families. Everyone deserves to be heard, be seen, and respected, and supported. Thank you.
We also acknowledge the complexity of the issues that said institutions have been dealing with and we'll hear a little bit more about those stories. But I want everyone to know that we stand ready to work alongside these entities to create meaningful change. However, we also understand that change cannot happen without honest accountability and a commitment to doing better. With that being said, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Marcus Coleman.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good people. Deqa's been dealing with this for quite some time, and one of the things that we all know as parents is that the most important things that we are responsible for is protection and provision. She's been making every effort to do that. She's been reaching out through multiple venues to try to get three things that she wants: responsiveness to her concerns, transparency in the process, and cultural competency. And we feel that's been severely lacking. Deqa's going to be able to illuminate more about this at some point, but this is where we are, and it's what I've been doing as her legal advisor to try to address and to accommodate her concerns. It would be great, none of us would have to be here if the responsible hospitals would simply respond to her as they would expect of any other person who's advocating for their child. And so that's what we want to do. She's going to give you more information, but that's where we are. That's simply what we're looking for at this point.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, everyone. Leaders here. Okay. I am the state representative for House District 9, Representative Munir Yassin Abdullahi. I stand with the community today in raising some real challenges that we faced with agencies like Franklin County Children's Services. Deqa is one of many constituents that have come to me with issues with this agency. This is one of the most heartbreaking cases that I've seen in my office, however, though. And while we appreciate the agency's willingness to come to the table and talk about tangible change, we need to start seeing real change. And when it comes to corporations like Nationwide Children's Hospital and Mount Carmel, we have to start seeing active communication to mothers like Deqa and so many others who have come forward and so many others who have not come forward with issues like this and worse. These mothers deserve answers. They deserve transparency, and they deserve cultural competency. So what we're asking for today is an overhaul of the system from these agencies and these hospitals and corporations to respond to constituents like Deqa, to respond to their patients, to respect parental rights, to respect their agency, and to care for the children like they promised they would care for the children. And so I'm willing to work with them on this. My office is willing to work with them on this. I'm willing to work with my colleagues on any legislative changes that we can make. We also want to see answers now. Silence is not acceptable. So I'm hoping to see some sort of communication to Deqa, her lawyer, and to other families who have asked for similar responses from these agencies and from these hospitals. And inshallah, God willing, we start to see tangible change, and we see our families who are supported and treated with dignity and respect, and their children are taken care of, and they have trust in these institutions, because right now there is no trust in these institutions. So let's look forward to further change and speak up. If you've also experienced something similar to this, call my office and let's talk about this. Thank you all for being here today, and I think I'm going to call over to the next speaker, which is going to be faith leader? I don't know, I'm sorry. Deqa Haji is going to share her story today. Thank you.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon to everyone. My name is Deqa Haji. I am here today to share my story. I am a mother. I am a registered nurse. I am a proud advocate for my son, Mahad Mohammed. For the last 2 years, I've had to navigate an unimaginable situations alone. Since the birth of my now 2-year-old son, I have experienced retaliation, being ignored, and being stripped of all my parental rights. I am pleading for your support and seeking justice, clarity, and transparency. My son was born at Mount Carmel St. Anne Hospital. I apologize in advance if I choke up. This has been a traumatic experience for my family and I. My son was born at Mount Carmel St. Anne Hospital, where I believe he sustained an injury during an unplanned cesarean section. I want to be very clear that I was very observant and alert during my procedure, in which I was partially induced with a regional anesthesia. For those of you that do not know what that means, you are numb from the waist down, so you are alert to know what's actually going on in the procedure room. I was eagerly waiting for my babies to cry. I was eagerly waiting for 2 healthy babies to be placed into my arms. However, I was given 1 normal baby and 1 not so normal. Despite my child's Abigar score, which states an 8, meaning that he was a normal baby, there was nothing vigorous or spontaneous about my child. He was not crying. He was not moving. He just stared at the ceiling. I know what I experienced in that room. During the birth, I observed actions that made me concerned for my child's well-being, but my worries were dismissed. The hospital was eager to discharge us. Despite me complaining after birth, I have brought to their attention numerous times that my child was not the same as baby A, which is Mahat, the first baby that was pulled out after my cesarean section. We were still sent home, only for the injury to manifest at home. Over the next few days at home, it became very, very clear to me that something was not right with my child. As the mother of 4 children, including my twins, I could see the difference in my son's behavior compared to his siblings. For three days, he showed signs of abnormality. And despite my repeated attempts to get answers, Monkerma St. Anne chose not to respond to me, chose to ignore my pain and my child's health and well-being. I cried for help. I cried for help. I did not receive it until I nearly passed out in my recovery room after birth. They only then called for an ultrasound to be conducted. After the ultrasound, it was determined that fluid has leaked back into my liver, so indeed my pain was real and I was not faking it. At that time, they realized that they needed to treat me and inserted my IV and gave me the proper pain management I needed. They have refused to disclose vital information, including my child's records, leaving me and my legal counsel unable to advocate for my child fully. These documents, which we are requesting to be released to me, intact and untampered with, are critical. I should not have to face unimaginable roadblocks to advocate for my child. I want to be clear that I have only partial medical records, and I am requesting that all my medical records be released to me. Despite my constant plea for clarity and request by my lawyers, Monkerma St. Anne Hospital has yet to disclose these records. I am here to demand accountability. As a healthcare professional myself, I understand the importance of transparency, and I refuse to accept anything less than the truth about what happened to my child. Unexpectedly, one night, as my child was being fed by his father, what every parent's nightmare is took place. What I have been cautioning and reporting took place. As my child was feeding, he choked and started bleeding from his mouth and nose. He was immediately transported to Nationwide Children's Hospital for treatment and was there diagnosed to have a chronic brain injury. For 8 weeks, I had my child at home and he was slowly bleeding in his brain and we had no idea. Something that could have been easily prevented. He was then placed in the care of Franklin County Children's Services. Throughout this time, I have been denied my rights to make essential medical decisions for my child. I have full parental rights per court orders, yet time after time again, I have been dismissed and denied access to vital medical decisions for my son. I am requesting specific accommodations and interventions, but my requests have been ignored. This is unacceptable and a clear violation of both my parental and civil rights. No parent should be forced to stand by while their child's health is deteriorating due to poor health care and lack of communication. As a mother, it is devastating to see my child not receive the proper treatment. It is devastating to see my child not receive the proper treatment, and it is even more painful to be sidelined from making decisions that could improve my child's quality of life. Initially, FCCS has denied me access to my son. Thankfully, only recently, they began to cooperate. And while this is great, I have other demands that need to be addressed to ensure that my child is advocated for. This small step does not erase the pain, agony, trauma that my family have endured for nearly 3 years now, and the pain of being kept away from your child. Nationwide Children's Hospital has completely anchored Mount Carmel St. Anne and have stripped me of my rights and neglected my child with the hopes of him passing away, so their false allegations of child abuse and the narrative they have written about us can be perpetrated. We are his parents, and we are being criminalized for injuries caused by them. Nationwide Children's Hospital continues to treat me as an outsider, discarding my expertise and my rights to be involved in my son's care. No mother should have to endure this, and no child should suffer because of lack of communication and cooperations between institutions that are supposed to be protecting us, serving us. Before I move on to what I have to say next, I want to stop here and give you guys 2 prime examples of the discrimination, profiling, and the overall prejudice that I have experienced at Nationwide Children's Hospital. My child was in the ICU. He was bleeding from every hole possible. My child was being sectioned. Canisters of blood was being sectioned. Still, my child was discharged from the ICU as he was stable. I begged and I pleaded with those doctors. I was in the worst place a parent could be, and I begged them to help me, to help my child. And the ICU attending approached me, and he looked me in the eyes and said, "Ma'am, I can see that your child is in pain and that you are in pain. My suggestion to you is to let him go." Immediately, what I was feeling disappeared. If I was crying, my tears dried up. Whatever emotions I was feeling completely disappeared. I have a human being suggesting that another human being's life be taken away because he's a burden, because he's too much for them to take care of. Nationwide Children's Hospital have called security and the police on me multiple times for merely asking for pain medication for my son. They would perform surgeries on this child and give him Tylenol and ibuprofen for pain management. Surgeries that an adult could not suffer through. And when I advocated for him, I was told that he didn't appear to be in pain. How can he appear or show you that he's in pain when he's a completely dependent, nonverbal child? His only form of communication is the tears that come from his eyes. And you're telling me that he's not in pain. All of the complaints that we have filed with the Patient Relations Office at Nationwide Children's Hospital have fallen below belt. Not one of our complaints have been addressed. We went as far as to requesting a meeting with the CEO, and he sent the medical administrator. At this time, we have expressed to the medical administrator our concerns, not only for my family, but also for my community. At this time, we have faced another roadblock, as the medical administrator told us what we were saying had no valid basis, and they would have to go back and ask the people we were reporting, basically confronting the people we had issues with. Nationwide Children's Hospital has to come speak with my community. They have to speak with me. They have to address these very serious concerns that we have. We have one too many children in our community that are now affected with health and medical conditions that are unexplained. Parents are not able to speak for themselves and request the information that they need to make the decisions that they would like to make for their children. Over the last 2 years, I have endured distress and trauma caused by Mount Carmel St. Anne and Nationwide Children's Hospital violation of my parental rights. The longer they take to respond to medical recommendations, the likelihood of my son experiencing a health crisis increase. The lack of communication and the lack of respect for my parental rights has inflicted trauma on my family. This is not just about one family. This is about holding these institutions accountable for the discrimination and negligence that they are inflicting on families. Today, I am asking you for support, my community. I cannot fight this alone. I cannot fight this battle alone. I should not have to fight this battle alone. I am here to demand that Mount Carmel St. Anne and Nationwide Children's Hospital be truthful, to provide me with all of my untampered medical records, to meet with me, my community leaders, and legal advisors, to explain the current treatment plan for my son. I am asking that they answer my questions quickly, as my child's life depends on it. I have a completely bedridden, dependent, vulnerable child. The least you can do is address me and my community. I do not want another family to endure what I have. The last 2 years have been a nightmare. I have been mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially drained and exhausted. I have been outpowered and out-resourced and completely sunk into a system that I am defenseless against. And I am simply requesting a meeting to understand the medical decisions being made for my son. I want to reiterate that my child's medical records are being falsified. They are being weaponized in a court of law and used against us as his parents to criminalize us. This is wrong. This is wrong for my family. This is wrong for any parent or for any child. We demand that the institutions that are healing our youth address us and please work with us to fix the disparities amongst our community and these institutions. Thank you so much for your time.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Amal Abdullahi. First and foremost, I want to thank this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for allowing us to come together. Second, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here with us in this time of difficulty. We stand together in demanding justice for Deqa and our family. What happened to them was unacceptable and shouldn't happen to any one of us. And we will not stop until the truth is known. We stand together in unwavering solidarity to let everyone know that this must stop, and it must stop now. If we don't come together, if we don't talk about it, what's going on, if we don't support each other, this is going to continue to happen. She's not the first, and she will definitely not be the last. So I appreciate every one of you that showed up today. We must not stop this fight until every child gets the treatment that they need, every parent gets the respect that they need. Deqa has been dealing with this for the past 2 years. I'm pretty sure not many people have known. But now that our community is becoming aware of it, we need to stand together and fight against this. And inshallah, I'm hoping and praying that her child will come home safe and sound, inshallah. I appreciate you all coming out. Jazakumullah khair.
Bismillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am not sure if I can say much after hearing the testimony of Deqa and Amal. That was painful to listen to. We deserve justice. We deserve to be heard. Human beings, persons, are at the center of this problem, not just procedures. It's about families with special needs. It's about children from diverse origins and a community that demands that their kids to be treated with the utmost respect and decency. This is the reason that we're requesting that every employee of these organizations receive extensive and in-depth training on cultural sensitivity. These organizations' employees must have a thorough understanding of the areas they serve. Learning about various cultures, language, experiences is necessary in order to make decisions that are in the best interest of our kids and all kids in general. Taking into account of their background, identity,
and community in which they live. Cultural competence and sensitivity are necessities, not just options. I urge each and every one of you to stand behind our sister Deqa. She has a case, and we will not stop. We will not rest until justice prevails. I thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
waxaan leeyahay marka ugu horeysa ilaahay baa mahad iskale meeshan u keenay waxaan mahad celinaynaa dadkii ka soo shaqeeyay kulankan muhiimka ah walaasheen waxa weeye Deqa Haji iyo familkeeda ku saabsan gaar ahaan hawshan oo muddo dheer waxa weeye soo socotay marka koobaad waxaan mahad celinaynaa dadkii ka soo qayb qaatay haday tahay lawyerka haday tahay care haday tahay xildhibaan Munira musharax xildhibaan diini dhammaan community-ga kala gabdhaheena wanaagsan oo ka soo qayb galay anigoo ku hadlaya afka aymada waxa weeye gaar ahaan masaajida arintaas ayada ah Yehova gabadheena waa la garab istaagayna insha Allah taala qodobka labaad iyo fariinta labaad isbitaalkaas waxa weeye dhibaatada ilmaha u geystay familkan dhibaatada ku haya waxaan ka codsanaynaa in uu dhageysto fariinta waxa weeye ka imanaysa community-ga hadii kale waajibkiisa ayaan marin doonaa insha Allah taala waxaan ballan ay insha Allah taala inaan arinta ka harin oo aan meel saarno hadii la yiraahdo wadankan community baa loo nool yahay dadku waa community isbitaalka waxa weeye qayb baan ka nahay dhismihiisa iyo jiritaankiisa iyo economigiisa intaba marka inuu anagina dhibaateeyo oo caruurteena saa u dhibaateeyo family saa u dhibaateeyo ma aqbalayno hadii la yiraahdo xildhibaanaan leenahay oo mas'uuliyiin baan leenahay oo waxaan leenahay waxa weeyaan community baan leenahay wadanka qayb baan ka nahay ma ogolaanayno in lagu xadgudbo xuquuqdeena insha Allah taala idinka waa maasantiin jazakumullahu khayr assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh
Bismillah. As Sheikh Mutar spoke for the faith leaders, it's very important to realize that which happened or the case that occurred to our sister Deqa is something that is unacceptable on faith basis. Mount Carmel is a hospital that is found by a religious institution, and that they perpetrate some of the things that our sister has went through is something that is immoral and criminal. So we ask for them to do us right as a community, to do our sister right, and to immediately release all records, and to also face the grievances that they are being informed of. We also demand the same from Nationwide Children's Hospital and from all involved government institutions. We as a community will not stand in silence as we watch transgression happen to one of our own. And this is what God demands, and this is what God has told us when He told us to stand by justice. We stand by justice, and we have to not remain in silence, and we have to speak out loud against transgression, and we demand from the hospitals and from the government organizations that they give us our due rights in regards to this matter. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Inan. Now that having heard from Sister Deqa, and I'm sorry about what you have gone through, you and your family. The last time I checked, this is America. We're not a communist country where an institution will take a charge of a child and strip a parent of her parental rights. So this is unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable. And as the Council on American Islamic Relations here in Ohio, we're going to stand by our sister. And we're going to demand that justice be served, that her rights be restored, and that these hospitals will give her her records and will inform her about her child's case. This is unacceptable on all levels, on the human level, on the parental rights level, on the child's rights level. And for these institutions to act with impunity is just contrary to everything we came to America to enjoy. To enjoy the freedom of having our children and having our rights as parents, as individuals, as human beings. And for these rights to be stripped by these institutions is something that we're going to fight. every step of the way. And we're ready to talk to them, to discuss with them, to accommodate them in terms of conversations. However, in the final analysis and at the end of the day, our sister Deqa is going to have her rights restored, and she's going to have her records, and whatever we can do as an organization and as an institution, we're going to do in order for that to happen. When you look around here and you see this community didn't come to CARES Ohio's office for the coffee. They came because they want to stand with our sister Deqa and making sure that her rights are going to be restored, and that is exactly what we're going to do.
Okay, just a few other things. The very first thing is I'd be remiss if I did not express my appreciation for CARE of Ohio and their support and continued support in this matter. Just a couple things regarding where Deqa is. She's asking for responsiveness, transparency, and cultural competency. That's essentially it. So what does that mean? Responsiveness means that she is reaching out to these people and she's seeking answers to understand the process of what's been happening with her son. That's something that anyone in this room, anyone in this country would expect. Now, cultural competency, that seems, a bit kind of vague. Here's what that means for Deqa. Do I matter? And how do I know if I matter? It's not what you tell me, it's what you show me. Why? Because we see better than we hear. Show me that I matter by being responsive and being transparent. If they can do that, we're perfectly fine. Two other agencies, FCC and NIAP, have been very cooperative here recently, and we have no complaints with them at this point. What we're talking about are the hospitals. There's just a couple of other quick matters that Deqa wants to illuminate for the audience, and we'd like to have her come up and say a couple of things.
My legal advisor asked me to come back and kind of elaborate on some of the medical requests that we are currently asking for. As we currently speak, my child care has been transported back to Nationwide Children's Hospital, although I have requested for my child care to be in Cincinnati Children's Hospital. This was done against my will. Once my child was transported back to Nationwide Children's Hospital, we have recently learned that they have removed the port that he had. My child has been poked since he was born. He has no more veins left. For this reason, he can get into a critical medical situation at any time, meaning he needs a quick access and he needs life-saving measure medication to be administered right there and then. With them removing the port right now, he's unable to get any rescue medication. God forbid he has an emergency. We were recently told that they were not going to reinsert the port, even though I, as his parent, is requesting for it to be inserted back. We were told, rather, if the child ends up having a medical emergency, they will perform something called an IO. That is when they have to drill the bone to get access to administer medication to the child. I ask anyone who's watching me, who would wait until the last minute, till something happened to their child, to expose them to be drilled? I don't want my child's bone to be drilled. I want my child to be provided with the care that he needs. I was taken to court because they wanted to put a port in him that I disagreed with. I was taken to court for things that are well within my right. My parental rights have been stripped. My civil rights have been stripped. I need them restored. I need my child back with me. And I need to know this is not going to happen to another woman in my community. Luckily, I am able to stand in front of you to convey my message to you clearly, to be able to get the appropriate representation that I need, to be able to speak to these doctors and be very transparent for my child's decisions, the decisions we have chosen to make for him. I am able to do all of that. What about for the next woman that's not able to do that? That's not able to sit in that room. That's not able to look in your face. It's not able to give you actual facts. I have been pleading and begging for these agencies to work with me for nearly 3 years. I want to fix the gap. I want to bridge the gap. We trust these institutions to heal our community. We want to work with you guys. We can only do that if you are reciprocating what we are saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you all again for being here. I want to thank again Brother Khalid Turani, who is the Executive Director at CARE Ohio, for allowing us to gather today at the CARE Ohio office. I want to thank Mr. Marcus Coleman, who has done an outstanding job in representing and providing legal counsel to Deqa Haji and to her family. I want to thank our amazing State Representative Munir Abdullahi, who she and her office have tried many times to reach out to these institutions, not just because Sister Deqa is a Somali and a Muslim, but because she is a constituent and her rights matter, just as anyone else's rights matter. I want to thank all of our community members and our Imam for being here today to support Sister Deqa. Just 2 demands today. Please, please, please help us in demanding that Sister Deqa's medical records are provided to her in its entirety, and to also make sure that she can get a meeting with Nationwide Children's Hospital so that she can understand why these medical decisions are being made for her child without her perspective and without her blessing. And then finally, to make sure that all medical institutions in our community are really, really understanding the importance of having cultural competency trainings. And so those are our 3 demands today. Assalamu alaikum, and thank you all so much for being here.
We need some people to talk to Somali a little bit.